the end goal for us student is, to get a decent job while we graduate from our college, or even if after you have graduated, you have not find a job. The end goal pretty much is to get the job, right? And to enhance that job getting process, this open source contribution can definitely, make you stand out of the crowd and help you gain your first internship, jobs, recognition, and social validation. I mean, you will be getting socially acclaimed that okay, this person X, he has been contributing into this software software Y that is being used by this million of people, and this person is very good in this particular technology stack. Okay. Yep. So, yeah, most of the people are here first timers. That's okay. I'll definitely give you a. I've already, I mean, considering my last session, I've already, had that impression that a lot of people would be from the first timer itself. So that's the reason I have taken into consideration about open source and the Hacktoberfest both. Okay, I'll walk you through all of these. Okay. And okay, yeah. Can you guys again post your which year of the college you are from, which college, which city? A brief intro about yourself. I mean, I want this session to be engaging, so it will help me, compile my pointers in order to help you guys out. Then I'll briefly introduce myself, and we'll begin with the walkthrough of the slides. Second year, third year completed, Mathura Arya College, BTech, fifth sem. Okay, NIT Jamshedpur, and Tech passed out. Okay, Jaipur, Rajasthan. Okay. So majority of the people are in BTech or MC or some year at least, third year, fourth year, third sem, second sem. Okay, not going college yet, Nilesh. Okay, Nilesh, are you in school or where are you? At which point in time? 12 pass. Okay. That's really, I mean, there is no start time, to start the open source contribution. I've seen people as small as school going people. For example, there is a initiative, I mean, there is a competition or initiative, you can call it Google Coding, that is aligned towards, school going children. One second, I'll just, if I want you guys also to Google code in eligibility. This was more aligned, our session was more aligned toward Google Summer of Code because the majority of the audience is from the college background, and it requires a college background for to participate in Google Summer of Code. But in Google Coding, you have to be between 13 and 17 years at the time of registration. And in most cases, an year, age gap of 13 to 17, they're mostly in your school. So I think, Nilesh, you might be falling into that 17, or you might have crossed. It's okay, but you have an edge in terms of time that you can, explore open source contribution, learn what it is, and see what the impact it can have on your profile without, I mean, let's say you are planning to do a BTech or MCA. Even joining your BTech or MCA, if you have some certain knowledge around that, so if you learn certain programming language, you started contributing to open source, that will give you a major heads up with your peers in your college. So definitely, it's a very good edge for you, Nilesh, if you proceed forward in that direction, only if then. Bangalore, BTech complete, Masters complete, pre-university student, Google coding. Yep, pre-university. Yeah, Sudhanshu, correct. So I think Nilesh was falling into this pre-university. Okay, cool. I got the gist. Most of you guys are from varied backgrounds, BTech, MCA, somebody's from BA Economics as well. So I'll walk you through as a starters, like what the open source is, what Hacktoberfest is, what different initiatives are, how you can take part in that. All of those of these, I've covered in the previous session. If there is a recording available, I have deep dive into all of these topics. You can, kind of go through that and maybe then come to this one, but I'll definitely give you a brief about it. Okay, one second. Yeah, so let me briefly introduce myself now. I am Ankur Keshavani. I'm working as an SD3 at Walmart Global Tech. So I'm a 2020 graduate. I graduated from JP Institute of Information Technology, where I did my majors in computer science and engineering. So from 2020 onwards, I've been into the industry. So it's been 4 years plus now in the industry. I started my work from NCR Corporation, where I worked for an year, and then I moved or switched to Walmart Global Tech, where I'm working as a full stack engineer from last 3+ years. So that's a bit about me. I also create content on LinkedIn, and you can all connect with me on my LinkedIn. I've sent you the link in the chat. You can, have a look and send me a connection request or a follow request, whatever suits fine to you. Okay, so yep, that's a brief intro about me. I'll be quickly sharing my screen. Do let me know if my screen is visible and you can see my slides. Okay, just a moment. Yeah, I'll just go through the slides. Just one second. Let me know if my slide is visible. Are you guys able to see? One second, let me open the chat. Visible. Okay, that's cool. I'll just quickly move into the full screen mode and we'll start with the presentation. Yep, again open the chat. It has gone. Yep, cool. Thank you, Saurabh, for confirming. So, how open source contribution can enhance your profile. But since you guys are mostly first timers that have not joined in my previous first and the second session, I'll be walking you through. I have a certain agenda in mind that I'll be covering through. I'll walk you through that also. Sorry, just one second. Yep. So open source. And if you guys have any questions or anything around anything, you can keep on posting into the chat because the I'll be at the instant giving you answers to that also, so that you are not stuck anywhere in the slides in the presentation. Okay. So open source, a brief intro about open source contribution and its benefits for student as well as professional. So what exactly is open source contribution? So open source softwares are basically softwares which are open for public to go and enhance them on their own. If you know coding, for example, you might be a lot of people in the chat or in the session right now would have worked with React JS, and if you guys know, it was built by Facebook, then open sourced. Now when I say open source, there are multiple features in React. There would be, if you have used React, you would have used hooks like use state, use effect, and everything, right? Now, every software, be it a programming language or be it a real software in like for example, we are right now connecting on Zoom, right? Zoom is a software, right? So it has incremental changes. Now, Zoom is not open source. That means if you find any flaw in Zoom, you cannot go and fix that by yourself. But if you go around, like most of you would be using Mozilla, this Google Chrome browser, right? But you might have also heard about Mozilla Firefox, right? So Mozilla Firefox is open source. That means if you see any flaw or if you think that any new feature that has to be, you know, uh, coming to Mozilla Firefox, in that case, you can explore its code basis, see how the code has been written, and if you're comfortable in the language of the code that it has been written with. For example, let's say the UI is written with React.js and the backend is written in Java or Spring Boot, and you are skilled in backend, and there is something that is breaking in the backend due to this, you can raise an issue that this is the issue with your software. And if you know that, if you went through their code bases and found out that, okay, I think this is the issue in their backend code, and I think I can fix that. In that case, you can propose a solution as well, that okay, this is the issue, this is the proposed solution that I can propose, that your software has this flaw and I can fix it. In that case, you can write the piece of code that would fix that flaw by your own self, and you can raise the PR. And all of these can you guys let me know if you are familiar with the Git commands? Just type in a yes or no in the chat if you guys know what Git and GitHub is. Come on, everyone, quicker. No issues. I'll briefly describe about Git. I mean, I had covered this in my previous session. What is Git and what is GitHub? With the right from forking and cloning and then making your first contribution to your open source. So that's why I was suggesting you to go, guys, to go through the recording of the previous session if you are not aware much deeper into Git and GitHub and open source and Hacktoberfest and everything. Okay. So Git is nothing but a version controlling system. When you develop a software, for example, I work in Walmart, right? Or in that matter, in any company you work, let's say tomorrow you would be working right now, you're in college or in if somebody has graduated, but let's say tomorrow you go into a company. So you would be working in a team that would be, let's say the team has 8 to 10 people, and 8 to 10 people would be working on a same piece of software, right? So Git is a version controlling system that takes care of the versioning of your different code. That it help you collaborate with your team members to write a specific code. It enhances or promotes simultaneous software development simultaneously by each of the developers working in that project or in that software. For example, you are 6 people or 8 people working on that piece of software. One developer A doesn't have to wait for developer B to complete his changes and then he would start. They all can parallelly work on their own feature by creating their own feature branches. Then they get merged into a one main branch, and that is we usually refer to that as main branch, so that everybody is working independent of other developers, what they are working on in their own respective branch or feature branch. Sorry. Okay, so this is how. So in short, Git is a version controlling system that help you collaborate with your team members, helps you track the changes that you are doing around the software. You can revert back to any previous version. You can, go to any commit. You might be familiar with the commit and PRs and everything, right? When you make a change into a software, you raise a PR, and that PR has the code that you have written to make that particular change. Okay. A simple example that I can give you is, let's say you have a website where the color of the button is red, but on hover, there is no functionality of that button as of now. But on mouse hover on that button, you want to change the color to green or white. Okay. In that case, you made that change in the CSS file, and now your code has a change that on hover property has been added where when you hover a mouse onto your button, the color should change. Now you have done this two-liner chain. You make a commit, you raise a PR, and then you merge into your main branch. Now, when this main branch is deployed, wherever your project is deployed, you will be able to see that, okay, now your functionality is working. So this is the workflow of a smaller change that I'm telling you. Okay, so now you have a gist of what Git is, right? And GitHub is nothing but a repository hosting platform wherever you host your code. Because once you write a code, you would be keeping it somewhere, right? If it's a open source, let's say you make a pet project for yourself. If you guys do not have a GitHub ID, definitely go on to github.com and create one ID for yourself. Whatever project you create tomorrow when you are making your resume, you give the GitHub project link of your project. Okay, that this is the project that I made. Here is the GitHub link of the same. This is the backend project or CRUD application that I made using Java Spring Boot. This is hosted on GitHub, and this is the GitHub link for the same. So definitely go check it out. Check out the GitHub. Every company, mostly company, they keep their code on GitHub. Some softwares are open source that anyone can access, but some of the codes are private that they do not want the outside world to know that I have this code on GitHub. Okay. So these are the difference between public and private repositories. Repositories is nothing but a code base. That's it. Okay, so now you guys are mostly familiar with Git and GitHub. So this was about open source. Open source software is nothing but a software whose code base is accessible to every individual and they can make their changes according to their own needs. Although it might require a level of um, reviewers that would be reviewing your code. It's not that, okay, tomorrow Girish or Karan wants to merge something into a code that would break their code, so that will be going through a heavy through review of the maintainers that, okay, You have written a correct code or not? Are the coding styles in place or not? So everything they would be taking care of. Okay. So this is what a open source software is. You can go and contribute and enhance that open source software. Now, Hacktoberfest. Hacktoberfest is a key initiative that runs in the month of October. Right now, we are in the October month of the year, right? So this is a initiative by Digital Ocean and GitHub earlier, where you get a chance where they are promoting that students from different sectors, different background, different branches should come together and start their journey with open source contribution. Okay. Now, when they say open source contribution, they want you to, collaborate with other developers and contribute to any open source software. There are a lot of open source softwares. For example, Excalibur, React.js, Mozilla Firefox. If you guys have worked with, for example, Siddhartha says that he has worked with data science. So he might be knowing about TensorFlow, NumPy, Pandas, Keras. All of these libraries, these are open source. So if you want to, have a deep dive information about these softwares, to read their code base, how they have been actually written. Although these code bases are massive code bases and not very, easier to understand, but if you spend a couple of months reading their code bases, you will get a lot of insights how industry level code has been written, what are the coding practices being followed, what is the coding guidelines being followed, and everything and the nuances around it, the terms they use, the documentation they make, the maintainers they have, the skill set they have. You get to network with a lot of people. These are big people who have been contributing to open source softwares. So a lot of visibility you can get by contributing to these softwares. Okay. So we will be coming to that visibility part in point number 6, as you can see in the slide. Okay, I'll be walking you through. So now, this was the preliminary, open source and Hacktoberfest. And if okay, let me give you guys a Hacktoberfest, a quick glimpse about Hacktoberfest website also. Okay, one second. So this is the Hacktoberfest 2024. Can you guys see the website in my browser? Is it visible? Please reply with a yes or no. Okay, so this is what Hacktoberfest website looks like. Earlier, as part of this initiative, they want you to collab. It doesn't have to be a very massive project. It just have to be any project in the GitHub with a topic listed as Hacktoberfest. Okay, now once you have found a project, it can be a small scale project. It can be a very big scale project. But as a starters, if you guys are very new, in that case, you can explore some starter project that are smaller in code bases and easier to understand. A lot of people, if you guys are aware of, there is a readme.md file in any GitHub project. Let me show you that also. I mean, I have taken this although, but I'm not logged in right now. GitHub Excalibur. This is one open source software. Okay. So I am saying readme.md. If you look at this file, one second, readme.md, this file, and it is nothing but this file that you can see here. As Okay. Yeah, Akash, you can maybe answer this Saurabh's question. Okay, so this is one's open source software. This is how the project looks like. This is the organization and this is the project inside it. Similarly, React.js is also similarly, hosted on GitHub and it has all the code bases here. You can go and check it out. Okay, so these are different files that it has and different, linting, production, environment development, config, Docker, ignore, and Docker file, and this is a README. README tells you basically about what the project is, what it does, and everything about it, that what this project do. So this project is basically about creating these kind of models or system design. When you do a system design, you make boxes, layers, and everything. So to draw all of these things in a system design interview, it comes in handy. You guys can Google Excalibur. Okay, so you will have a look how this website looks actually. And this is how its code has been written. Okay. And README file is the file where everything about the project has been written. So this is the README file for this project. Okay. How to install and how to run this new local. Now you see a flaw in this code. This is how now you can see that this code has been written in TypeScript. Now, if you're someone who is very, uh, let's say have beginner level info or some familiarity with TypeScript language. Okay, in that case, you can explore this repository and code into this repository to make it better. If you see this issues section, it has a lot of open issues, and if you are a beginner, you go to good first issue. So yeah, select this label of good first issue, and once you have selected it, easier issues come up. Support enter to edit groups. So these are the issues that are left for beginners. So if you are a beginner, go to these issues first, so as to have some around gist of what the project does, what is the issue, how to fix it. And once you have found out the issue, you understand it, you make the code change, then you raise a pull request here. These are the open requests that it has. Somebody might have done a fix here. You see, fix ensure new flowchart nodes match properties of the starting node. So this guy has fixed something that was, and this is the video testimonial that what he has fixed, and some test and everything here. And if you go to file changes, he has made 24 lines of file changes. These are the changes that he has done. Okay, this is a TypeScript code. So this is the amount of change that he has done that would be fixing something. Okay, so this is how it works. This is the pull request, this is the issue that I showed you, and this is the code base. Okay, so this is how an open source software looks like. It has everything to, if you want to see how to contribute, you go to this. If you want to see what the project does, look at this. Okay, so in Hacktoberfest, you are required to raise four pull requests. Then only you will be considered completing the Hacktoberfest. And if you go, this is one pull request. One second. This is one such pull request. If you raise four pull requests and they get merged. You see these closed ones. Some would have got merged. For example, these two have been merged. Merged pull request, but this got closed. So if your status is merged pull request after raising full pull request, not in just this project, but in any open source software project that is there on GitHub, GitLab, or there is one more, Bitbucket. So, but the most famous is GitHub one. Okay. So you have to find a fix, do changes in your local, raise a pull request and get it merged once you have done that. But before that, you have to register for Hacktoberfest. It has all the guidelines that you need to follow. So you go to this website, read through it, register yourself, and then raise four pull requests and get it merged into the project. And then you are done. And as part of the event, you would be getting some digital badges. Earlier, they used to provide some t-shirts and everything from America, right? Sent right from America. So that was a pretty good experience to get something right from America, just for your open source contribution. Okay. I am again moving back to my slides. The background was pretty important to give you guys because the later point you might have not understood properly. Okay. All right. So next thing is open source benefits and advantages, profile building, how it can help you, enhance your profile, get recognition by the recruiters, hiring managers for job opportunities and everything. Networking opportunities, because we are in tech, and in tech, networking matters a lot. I mean, I have right now some close to 68,000 followers and on LinkedIn. Okay. So in that case, I have the some 27 or 28,000 connection and 68,000 followers. So I have networked with a lot of possible, um, potential future employers, my peers, people that are good in my field, that are exceptional in my field, so as to learn from them. Tomorrow, if I want a referral in any company, I have a connection in all of these companies, right? So it becomes a fairly easier for me to get a referral and to ask a referral from any person in any company because I have a connection in every company. So this is where it helps you with jobs, with potential opportunities to grow in life. So that's why networking is very important. Recognition and visibility. Now you are a good software engineer, but how would you let the world know that you are a good software engineer? In that case, you have to be visible on social profile, let's say LinkedIn, open source contribution. If you are doing, you post about all of that in LinkedIn. And if you have any other social media profile, let's say Instagram, also people sometimes post. One second. Yeah. So that's where it becomes very important to be visible in the crowd, because let's say in your batch, let's say there are 30 students. Okay. Everybody has studied the same course. Everybody, let's say, has the same set of skills. But how would you stand out of those 30 students, right? Tomorrow in the placement, or if you're going for off campus, you are sitting in interview, and you both are good in the skill set. How would you make yourself stand apart from this your peer? In that case, you have to make exceptional projects. You have to do open source contribution, because the acceptance and the validation that you get from the people in the tech world when you do open source contribution, it's very high. And they know that you have some deep level technology understanding, how big scale projects work, what are the code guidelines that have to follow while making any software, what are the coding styles and the coding best practices that you have to follow, because anybody working with any open source software would have been going through all of these cycles: best coding practices, best language alignment, best deep knowledge, everything. So when you start contributing into open source projects, all of these things get inculcated in your experience, and this is very beneficial when you join any other company. After joining, you would any in your day one, you would be ahead of the people. In terms of product knowledge, you might be understanding what the project does, but in terms of writing code, your coding style would be great. Your refactoring, your logic building would be great. Your how to keep the clean code, how to keep the code clean. That ability is very important once you write code in a production level code in your company. So all of these things would be looked upon when you do these things in your company. And if you do that right, in your day one, from your day one, you would be standing apart from your peers, and you would be having very lot of respect in the team. Okay, one second. There were a couple of points more. Yep. So the rest of the points include skill development and learning. Definitely, a lot of learning is there in open source contribution. Monetary benefit. There are a couple of initiatives that I'll be talking about, where just by doing your open source contribution, you can earn, a couple of lakhs, like 3, 4, 5 lakhs, if you take part in those initiative and submit your project successfully. So that's the monetary benefit out of those, right? Securing job. When you do these open source contribution, sometimes, for example, there is a company called Apprite. If you have heard of APPWRITE, that is an open source software company. Okay, and if you, let's say, you start contributing into their project, and they like your contribution, they can directly offer you a job. So that way you have a job also. And in most of the cases, if you are continuously contributing, let's say for an year or two, contributing to open source software application that is hiring, and if you apply for that position, definitely you will have a very strong edge, because you already know their software, you already are performing there. Right now, I mean, you're not treating you as an employee, but indirectly you are kind of working as an employee, because you are contributing their software that might be helping them earn a revenue or something, right? You are maybe doing it for your own learning, but once you apply for a job in that company, they already know you. You have a lot of connection in the while making your code changes, while PR reviews and everything. You have made a lot of connection, and in that case, you in the the path of securing that job in that particular company becomes very easier for you in that case. Okay, so this is how you can secure jobs, and jobs come to you in that case. You do not have to run before jobs. So that is all the advantages that it has. Challenges ahead. I mean, definitely, you might have seen Excalibur, you might be seeing React.js, you might be seeing multiple other libraries that are open source. It's intimidating as a college student to, jump into open source and read lakhs of lines of code in if it's in case if it's an enterprise level, software. There would be a lot of test cases, lot of files, lot of Java files, or it depends which language the project has been written in. But it's a massive code base that you have to go through. You do not have to master every part of it, but you have to pick a certain path or a certain part of the software where you can start working on. Because if you are trying to learn the entire software application that you are about to contribute, you will never start to contribute. That I have seen firsthand myself. So in that case, pick a part of the project that, for example, let's say any specific component, see how you can make them better. See if you there is already an existing issue around those components, read about that particular component. That's it, because it will have a slightly smaller code base. If you compare it from the with the entire project, that would be a slightly smaller code base where you can, easily read the code base and make changes around it. Okay, so that's where, it definitely is intimidating, but if you have the right guidelines and right contribution mindset and the right amount of time, if you're giving it to that project, you can definitely, excel through that. Let's move on to the. So this was all the points that I will be covering. I have covered Git open source and Hacktoberfest already, so I might not be covering them in very detail from the later on. So understanding open source contributions, right? So collaborative development. As I have already mentioned, when I say open source contribution, I showed you an Excali draw project, right? If you had seen this language section that I showed you, above language there was a contributor section. So you can see some 100, 200, 300 people are contributing to that software, and it would be similar to any enterprise grade software. That a lot of people, 100, 200, 300, 500. If it's a very famous project, the numbers can be in, multiple hundreds or even thousand, let's say, that these many people are working on this particular software. So that's a collaborative environment. It's a teamwork that you are doing with other people that you might not know of at all, but they have a Discord server or something. Most companies or most projects have, where you can, because let's say you found out a issue, but you do not understand it. So you might be requiring someone that who would be explaining you that issue. So for that, they have this chat community, be it on Slack or Discord. It depends from project to project, but they have this chat community where you can, go and understand the issue, talk to people, how to, begin your first contribution and everything. Okay, so it's a collaborative development where you work alongside with others. Tomorrow, when you make a change to the code of that project, a lot of people or the reviewers of that project would be reviewing your code that, okay, you have not done this thing right. This can be again refactored. The time complexity of your code is very high. Can you reduce it down? Everything. You might be getting review comments there. So you have to collaborate with them and then, by and by make your way forward. So open source contribution involve collaborating on publicly accessible software project, enhancing teamwork skill. You will definitely be increasing your teamwork skills, because anyway tomorrow when you are once you are going to join your corporate job, you would be again working in a team, and that is one very critical and crucial skill to have, where you collaborate with your team members. Almost everybody can code, but everybody cannot collaborate. So that's a very crucial skill to have as a team member. Diverse contribution. Contribution can include code, documentation, and bug fixes, providing a range of opportunities to showcase a skill. So now, if you are somebody who is not very much interested in writing code, but you are very good in writing English, let's say, you know what softwares are, you know how the software functions, but you're not very much interested in building that software using writing some code, let's say TypeScript, Java, or any other language. But you like to write in general. In that case, there is a documentation. For example, I showed you contribution.md. I showed you readme.md. So these are the technical documentation of the projects where you can find out what all are the features of this project, and that is written in plain English. So it's not necessary to make code changes as part of your open source contribution. You can also make an English language. You can change their documentation. You can change their README file if there is any typo in it. If you think that something can be enhanced a little more, that it has not been described very well in the documentation, you can enhance that. You can raise an issue. So all of your contribution doesn't necessarily have to be a code contribution. It can be a documentation fix, a bug fix. Every coding repository, if it's a software, there would be tests, right? For example, if it's written in Java, there would be JUnit, Mockito, or some test around it, unit test cases, right? If it's a UI thing, there would be libraries like Jest. If you are a UI professional, you can write test in Jest. If you are a backend professional working with Java, you can write test in, let's say, JUnit test, right? So you can also contribute to their test suite. That is also considered as a open source contribution. So that's where I'm saying it doesn't necessarily have to be a code change, like a feature change or something like that. Okay. Skill building, a fantastic way for students to build practical skills that are highly valued in the job market. So, as I already said, a lot of skill development would be happening. Going through all of these code bases will make you learn a lot of things in terms of coding style, coding practices, refactoring, how to, make your code. I mean, for example, source file, the main model file, the service layer, the DAO layer, how these layers are separated, and what is the actual length of a method, how it doesn't have to be 200, 300 lines of code. Rather, it has to be a 20 to 30 lines of a code for each method, how you can refactor it, how you can use camel casing, right? So all of these things you will get to know, which will eventually you will find very handy in your corporate job if you are planning to, get into a corporate MNC or somewhere. So when you know all of these skills you mentioned in your interviews as well, they will definitely give you a brownie points for you knowledge around these topics, because a lot of people as a college student, a lot of people do not even know about what camel kissing is, what coding guidelines is. It's just that they have to write a code. If they are coming from a competitive let's say competitive programming background, they know to solve the problem, but they not do not know the coding practices, the art of writing good and maintainable code. It has to be extensible, it has to be maintainable in the long run. So all of these information you will get from these contribution that you make to open source softwares. Okay. Networking opportunities. So job is one thing that you would be looking after, as a college student. When you network with a lot of people, they might offer you a job. If you are doing a great work while contributing to their open source projects, they might offer you a position itself, an internship, a position, a full-time position into their organization as well. So and even if you post about your contributions on, let's say, Twitter, LinkedIn, you will gain a lot of attraction on these platforms. And once you gain a good amount of traction from recruiters, hiring managers, your peers, your profile will start to increase, it will start to stand out. If you have mentioned everything that you are doing on your open source part on your LinkedIn, on Twitter, you're continuously posting things that you are learning around it. In that case, recruiters and hiring manager may contact you directly for job openings. You will not even have to apply to jobs in that case. So it's a very great, learning opportunity and networking opportunity. Building a robust portfolio, enhancing your profile through open source contribution. Okay, 1 second. Yep. So diverse portfolio creation. Participating in open source projects helps students create a diverse portfolio showcasing varied skills. So if you're a college student, as in the chat, I already saw that you most of the people are college student. I can bet you that even in your college, there would be a handful of people that might have heard of open source contribution, let alone contributing to one. So if you are one of the guy that starts to contribute in open source projects, you can explore different categories of language sets that you know. For example, let's say you know Java, you know Python, you know some sort of front end also using React JS or something. You can find projects on all of these skill sets, so you can enhance your skill in all of those skill sets, be it React, be it Java, be it Python. You just have to pick one project. And as I told you that if you in your college, you might be the first one to start contributing to open source. Tomorrow, let's say campus placement comes up in your college. In that case, once you tell the interviewer that I have contributed to this project as my open source contribution journey, he would be very impressed with your achievement that you have at least started to, even the interviewer might be not participating in open source contribution. So that would be a very positive point in terms of your profile building or your portfolio building. Okay. That would make you stand out from the others in the crowd in your college. Okay. So different diverse portfolio creation. This is one diverse thing that you can have in your portfolio. Everybody does front end, back end, but people usually don't contribute to open source. So you could be the first one that can start. It's not that tough. It's just that it requires some time. That's it. Showcasing skill. The portfolio showcases coding abilities, problem solving skills, and teamwork crucial for job application. So, as an interviewer or any other hiring person, how will I assess your skill? You said that you know Java, you know Python. Either I will ask you questions around these languages, or I will check your projects. Projects can be copied as well. So, to get a fair understanding of how your skill set is, majorly I will be asking you a question. But if you can tell the interviewer that I've done open source contribution in this particular project. These are my commit IDs. These are my PR links. I can just go and validate that. Okay, this is how you have written the code. This is such a great quality code, right? In that case, I wouldn't be doubting you anymore that, okay, that you have written jargons and the buzzwords in your resume, but you do not know anything. But if you give me a proof like this written proof that you have actually coded something, in that case, I will be very much convinced that, okay, you are a very great hire for my company, and I will be hiring you over any other candidate who is just saying verbally that I've done this, done that. But there is no proof for that. But you guys have proof who have done open source contribution. Okay. Value of real world experience. So when I say open source contribution, it's a actual software that is being used by millions. If you think Chrome has been used by billions, right now I have opened a Chrome browser itself. Similarly, Mozilla Firefox would be used by millions. And once you make a change in that particular software, you see the level of impact you are making, that you did a change that would be used or accessed by millions of people across the world who are using that software. So you see the real time impact that you are making in the lives of people, the real world experience that you are getting by contributing to a such a large scale project. Because let's say if you are making a college project with your friend, how many people would be using it? 5, 10, 15 at max, right? But this Mozilla or any other project, for instance, once you make a change in these projects, it will be consumed by millions and billions of people. So the impact you can show that I made a change that is being used by in 40 across 42 countries and by more than 1 billion people. So you have some numbers also to showcase in your resume, and you get first-hand experience of contributing to a enterprise scale application, because everybody in your college or in your surrounding would have made a tic-tac-toe game, a sudoku, or let's say some full stack project. But that everybody does, right? What makes you stand out from the crowd? Projects like these, like I have contributed to a project that is being used by 1 million plus followers, users, right? In that case, that is something that will make you stand out. Networking opportunities, enhancing your profile through open source contribution. See, networking is very important in terms of jobs, in terms of internships, in terms of any other thing in tech. You get to learn from your network who are expert in your field. You get to bond over them. You get to learn about new opportunities. If you follow a lot of people in tech, let's say on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or any other platform, you get to know about the opening opportunities faster than anybody else. When you want a referral from anybody, you get that in an instant for job application. When you want to, enhance your skill set, and you know that this guy in the industry has a very renowned name, that this guy is very expert in, let's say, Kafka, and I want to learn about Kafka. In that case, you can, connect with them that I am impressed with your work in this particular field, and I was thinking if you could share me some repositories, or you could share some starters projects that I can make using Kafka. In that case, you know, you make a bond with people, you get to learn from their expertise rather than, juggling all the things on your own. So this is all what networking does. Uh, if I tell you my example, I got a job in Walmart in 2021. After that, I was reached out by Cisco, Google, Amazon India, Amazon US, all because of my networking opportunities. And that's where I got to know that, okay, if I increase my network and my connections on LinkedIn, I might be getting a lot of other opportunities that of other people of skill set same as mine or even higher skill set than of mine might not be getting, but I might be getting all of those, opportunities because I am visible to the audience and they are not. So having a technical skill set is very important. That is the most crucial part probably. But showcasing them at the right platform at the right time with the right people, that is another thing that is as crucial as having a technical skill. Because having a technical skill, making some project is good, but you need to showcase that to the outside world so that they can recognize your work, right? So that is where the connection or network comes up. Connect with professionals. Engage in open source project allows students to connect with professionals and contributors worldwide, expanding their networks. So these people are very experienced people. Every project that you are contributing to has a code maintainer who looks after that people are writing code with the proper guidelines, with proper coding style. Nothing rubbish or garbage is not getting merged into the main branch. So these code maintainers are very, knowledgeable people you can interact with. It's as easy as that. Okay. Once you interact with them, see their code, how they are writing it, the learning is enormous. Okay. And you can get some recommendation from them as well in your LinkedIn or somewhere else that we have worked together and you have worked such a great work in their project that they have given you a recommendation that goes a long, long way. Mentorship and job referrals. This network can lead to mentorships, job referrals, and collaboration that can benefit students' future careers. So I have already elaborated on of these points that you get mentorship from your seniors, from experts in your field. You get easier job referrals. You get to know about job opportunities well in time. So that because job opportunities, the market is such a big market, job market in India, that whenever there is a job being created in 1 day or 2 day, there are more than 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 applicants. So you have to, and there is a case that I have heard that, okay, let's say there is one opening, and there are 10,000 applicants. So the first five applicants might be only getting screened in, and the rest would be not at all getting screened in as well. This is in some companies probably, but it's also the case. So you have to know about the opening as soon as you can and you have to apply for that opening as soon as you can. And if you have a lot of connection, you can circulate that message that I'm looking for a job. If your company or your friend's company has an opening in it, do let me know. So a good network definitely helps you there as well. Okay. And job referrals is definitely another thing to consider once you are applying for jobs. And if you have a great connection network, job referrals are easier to get. That's it. Enhance career prospects significantly enhances career prospects by improving visibility among recruiters and showcasing skills. So I've already covered these points that once you are visible to the hiring manager, recruiters, and this is how they will find you. So you have to be very visible in terms of your social account, your open source contribution, Twitter posting, LinkedIn posting. You post about everything that you are learning on a day-to-day basis, or even once or twice in a week is also fine. It's just that you have to start. Otherwise, you will be going by the traditional way of applying a job. You see how opening, you go to careers page, apply, and then no response from their end. This is probably everybody. I hope you guys are not slept. So did you guys get replies once you apply any job on LinkedIn on their careers page? Have you tried doing for internship or full-time jobs? Did you get reply easily or it's very tough? You can reply with easy or tough, maybe in the chat. If you guys are still awake, it's tough. Yep. Yep. So it's the same for everyone. It's very tough to get, response from this careers page or even LinkedIn easy apply or just normal apply, right? So no response from hiring manager, recruiter. And when I say this, mark my words, once you start posting about your projects, your achievements and everything on LinkedIn, there is a drastic change shift that will happen, that they would be reaching out to you that, hi Anuj, hi Kamal, we have a job opening for you. Are you interested? So once that happens, then you will understand that, okay, this is what I was telling about on that day in the webinar. So that's one suggestion of from my end, that whatever you are learning, you definitely would be learning something, right? Let's say React, let's say Java, let's say Python, anything. You start posting about it, that I learned these are the topics, so that tomorrow somebody in your shoes, or let's say a junior to you, if he wants to learn topics in Java, he can refer your post that these are 15 topics in Java that you have to must know for interviews, right? So that's where your learning will also happen, his learning will also happen, your visibility will increase. Okay. So gaining recognition and visibility, enhancing your profile through open source contribution, visibility in tech community, contributing to popular open source project provides visibility within the tech community. And these open source software, once you start contributing, there are multiple conferences happen hosted by GitHub. You will get a chance to speak on these conferences once you start contributing if you have some certain level of knowledge in a particular field. You will, and once you start contributing a certain level of information, you might get invites to, go to open source conferences in India and in abroad. It will be all paid up trip to, conferences where you can go, you can present your talk or you can attend it. So all of this recognition, people would start recognizing you in the tech community. Open source community is a pretty wide community, and if you are getting recognized in that tech community, it's a win-win for you. I mean, the life in your software life would be, kind of very streamlined, very less, tough, I would say, when people know you around in tech community. Job opportunities, I've already spoken of that. Once you are recognized from the fellow developers and the industry leaders, it can definitely help you with jobs and internships if you are in college. Profile boost, we have already talked about. Start posting on LinkedIn, Twitter, and your overall profile as a software developer. Because I need validation, I need a security that, okay, when I say that Kamal is a very good software engineer, how will Kamal prove me in that? But if Kamal is, let's say, contributing to open source software, and I've seen his commits. I have seen his code quality because everything is public. I can go and check who Kamal is and what has he's done in different open source. If he's lying, I can also catch that he has said he has made five commits in last, let's say, 6 months in this major project. But when I see that he has done commits only in the documentation or the README file, he has corrected a English typo that the project has. In that case, I can catch that as well, that okay, this is a documentation change. So I cannot validate that he's very good in technicals or let's say a particular programming language from that matter. Okay. So I can go and see the quality of developer that Kamal is. Yep. So skill development and learning. So you are all college graduates, right? I mean, some people are already in college, somebody has already graduated. You might have not learned those skill set in 4 years as much. I promise you that you would be learning in 6 months while contributing to a open source software. If you are, very passionate or very determined to start contributing to open source softwares, the learning is going to be immense. As I told you, when I say this is a very bold statement that 4 years of college might not make you learn the things that you would be learning things in the open source software in your next 6 to 8 months, let's say. And once you stick to that project, you will be treated with utmost respect. You would become a SME of that project. So you will find joy in contributing in that case. Then you will be getting respect. You will be improving your learning skills. You would be improving on your skill and this coding capabilities. Tomorrow you take 3 days to code a feature. Later on, 6 months later, you are taking just half a day to code that feature. So that speed is what matters. Exposure to various technologies. The project is built on, let's say, various components are built on various different technologies or tech stack. So you will get an exposure how different things work together. when they are combined as one. Hands-on learning experience. This is the most important experience that you would be giving through this open source contribution, that you get a hands-on experience to a enterprise level application that it's very difficult to get the same sort of experience while in your college. You may be getting that in your company probably, but in college, it's either you do a open source software contribution, else you wouldn't be getting that enterprise grade, do we get financial support while on open source? I would be coming to that. In general, Girish, we do not get any financial support in terms of open source software development. But there are initiatives like Google Summer of Code, Google Summer of Docs, Outreachy, MLH, okay, where you can participate. And those there are participation guidelines. It's 2 to 3 months of project participation timeline where you in your summers participate in these initiatives, and if your completion is project completion is successful, in that case, let's say for a Google Summer of Code, you get a stipend of, let's say, 3 lakh, around 3 lakh. It may vary a bit, but around 3 lakhs of stipend, based on the fact that the proposal that you have given has been accepted, and in the timeline of those 3 months you have been successfully delivered what you promised. And if you are able to do that, in that case, yes, you get a 3 to 4 lakhs of stipend. Similarly, for Outreachy, MLH, and Google Summer of Docs. Oh, sorry, Google Season of Docs. It is. I have a dedicated slides on that. I'll be coming to that as well. And these are real world problem solving things that you solve would be consumed by millions of users, making their lives better. So everybody wants to work at scale. So this is an opportunity to work at scale. Nobody wants to work on a software that is being used by 10 people, or let's say people in your own company by, let's say, 1,000 people. Everybody wants to work at scale. They want to work at Walmart where the scale is such big. They want to work with Flipkart where on big billion days, the number of people landing on the website is in millions. That how are you handling 1 million or 2 million concurrent user placing your order? Is your system scalable? Is it crashing? If it is crashing, what are the, key things that you can improve upon in terms of performance? How can you improve that so that it doesn't crash in terms of heavy load, right? All of these things you get to learn when you work on a project that works at scale with millions and billions of users. For example, Instagram, Facebook, all of these are massively scaled applications that are being used by billions of people. So this is what people want to work at in software development. So Girish, your slide is here. Monetary benefits, programs, and opportunities. Explore financial rewards and recognition through open source contribution. Financial rewards. Programs like Google Summer of Code, Google Season of Docs, Outreachy, etc. offer financial reward for open source contribution. So if I tell you about Google Summer of Code, it's an initiative by Google, where there is a list of organizations that are participating in Google Summer of Code. You can just Google about Google Summer of Code. You can get to know about the timelines when the participating organization list is released, when you can start preparing your proposal, and when is the last day to submit that proposal, when are the results out, and when do you get to know about if you are in or not. Let's say if you get into the program, what are the timelines? When would be the first round of evaluation happen? What would be the second round of evaluation happen? What is the monetary benefit I would be getting out of that, apart from certificate and recognition? It's a very prestigious initiative by Google. If you're able to do that, it definitely enhances your profile. Coding working good, but suddenly why error came on the side? Why it happened? I'm not able to grasp your question, Bharat. Can you please elaborate a bit more on that? Why suddenly error came on the site? I'm not very sure what exactly is your question. Okay, monetary benefits. So I was telling, I mean, different programs have different monetary benefits. You can, as I have written these couple of programs, Google Summer of Code, GSOC, GSOD, Outreachy, MLH. There are a couple of more. You can just Google them out and see What are the monetary benefits? I mean, Google Summer of Code, Outreachy provide and GSOD as well provide pretty good, stipend for these 3 months, 2 months, whatever their timelines for project completion is. They provide pretty good stipend for that. I mean, Google Summer of Code provides something around 3 lakhs. It might be, subject to taxes or something, but yeah, the payout is in dollars. So during conversion, it gets converted into rupees, and it's a pretty good amount as a college student, I would say. It will cover your 1 year of college fees, I believe, if you are a BTech student. Okay. Resume enhancement. It gives a very positive impact. I mean, Google Summer of Code, if you're writing in your LinkedIn, in your resume, I mean, you are one step ahead of everybody else in your PS already. You do not have to explain anything about that. Okay, so that is the kind of impact that it has. If your startups comes in your college or you are going to startups for job, if you tell them that I worked on TypeScript, I worked on this project, I did these commits, I was selected in the Google Summer of Code, and I got appreciation and successful completion of the project that I proposed. In that case, they would be very impressed, and that brownie point you definitely have it from them. So that's a very positive impact that it creates. They enhance a student's resume with globally recognized achievements. Yeah, because nobody else around you would be having this achievement, right? It's a very prestigious achievement to have. Sorry. Pathway to internships and jobs. Open source contribution. Participating in open source project can lead to internship and job opportunities. This is pretty much I have already covered. Valued skills. Companies highly value candidates who demonstrate initiative and technical expertise through contribution. So tomorrow when you join a company, there would be two categories of people who would be joining. One who have done things that are enough to crack interviews, because not everybody does open source. They also land jobs somehow, right? So they have been doing data structures, algorithms, competitive programming, and everything. You have done more towards development side. Tomorrow, when both of you guys join the company, you already know what technology, how it works, and the nuances around it. He might not be very much well aware of all of these. He might be good in logical ability to solve problems, but in terms of actual development, that is building some UI, some backend code or something like that, and their style, their coding guidelines and everything, and their documentation as well, you are a step ahead of other who are joining the same position as you, because they have already worked on couple of things, couple of projects from ground up. So you know how does that software development life cycle happens, right from your requirement gathering till your productionization of your feature. You know all of those stages of software development, but the other guy might not know. So this gives you an edge in your company that this guy is very well experienced. Even as a fresher, he's a very experienced guy, so that gives you an edge there. Okay, attractive candidates, contributors to open source project become attractive candidates in the tech job. Yeah, as I have already told, you would be the preferred choice of the recruiters and the hiring manager if you're doing competitive this open source contribution, because you already have a first-hand information around contributing to enterprise level software that is being used by millions of people. So as I already told, there are some challenges. It's not very straightforward. I showed you one repository on GitHub as well, right? So it's a little intimidating because once you make a project, there are two, three, four, five files in that, right? Once you make a project. But when you go and see an open source software, like I saw you an example, showed you an example of XRE project that was on GitHub. You see, there are lots and lots of files. There would be lakhs of lines of code probably. Although it's not that giant of a software, but even then it has good amount of files and code base, right? And it gets a little intimidating in the beginning that how should you navigate every section of that code? How would you know that what code is doing what code is doing what? So in that case, I was saying, do not explore the entire code base. Pick a particular component or a section of the project. You just do how to do the local development setup of that project. Pick a particular component of the project that you think that you are interested in, and then Start working on those areas. Read the code base twice, thrice, or four times even. See how things are working, make changes, make smaller changes, and see how this change is reflecting in the UI, in the backend, how things are happening now. Once you're able to do that, that would be your building block. It will by and by get easier to, develop things. So, understanding complex code bases. Students often struggle to navigate and comprehend intricate, intricate code structures which can hinder their contribution. So, this is one real issue that I talked about. Managing time effectively, balancing academic responsibility with open source projects can be challenging. Effective time manager is crucial. So, that is definitely true because as a college student, you would be having your own college assignments, your test, your projects, your own major and minor projects, your own this internal exam and then final exam and everything. So definitely managing time is something that you will have to see on your own how you can manage time. But giving, let's say, an hour or two every day towards contributing open source or learning about one should be more than enough to get you started, and you would be having your semester end holidays as well. That is one of the best time to explore all of these repositories, contribution guidelines, and how to begin with software development and open source, so you can utilize that time to contribute to them. Tips and resources to overcome these hurdles, utilizing online these tutorials, mentorship program. So if you are kind of stuck somewhere, or let's say the project itself has a Discord server, but if you want to get a again a little bit overview about how open source software works and how to contribute to them, there would be a lot of YouTube videos around the same that you can go through to code level, to get some code level. Although in my last lecture, in last session, I had explained very in detail that how you can fork a repository, clone a repository, make changes, commit it, push it, then raise a PR. The overall end-to-end flow of contributing into a software. So I had explained that in the last slide, last webinar. So yep. But if you are unaware of that, you can YouTube it out and just have a look into that. So that can help you get started in the first place. So these are some challenges that you might be facing. And that is pretty much it, I think. So these are the key takeaways. It enhances students' profile, skill improvement, network expansion, increased visibility, project alignment, initiate contribution, consistent engagement. So these are pretty, kind of the key takeaways from our session. Now I would open the ground for any questions around software development, open source, or anything else that you guys might want to ask in the chat. You can, definitely ask me there. So do you guys have any questions around the same? Also, did you guys find this? I mean, I understand that you might not be understanding probably everything, but I tried to give a gist about Hacktoberfest, open source contribution, and everything. So, was this session helpful? Did you guys learn something new today, or were you knowing everything beforehand of this session? You can, if you found the session helpful, just give me a thumbs up in the chat so I'll know that I was able to make you guys understand about these things. I do not see any chat. Okay, yeah, Himanshu. Thank you, Himanshu. And if you guys have any, kind of doubts around software development, getting jobs, internship, anything, you can post it in the chat. You can ask the questions right now. Yep, outreach is for women only. But there are other, for example, GSOC is open for everyone, and GSOD is open for everyone. That's more towards the documentation and not coding. GSOD. You can explore MLH also, Major League Hackathon or something like that. Hacktober, I already told you, Siddharth, that Hacktoberfest is an initiative that runs in the month of the October. to promote open source contribution from college student like yourself? Arya, I mean, contributing to Hacktoberfest with 4 PRs is good, uh, but I'm not sure if it's a genuine PR with genuine change in a good project. Then only I would ask you to, mention that in your resume. But if it's just generic small change, spelling change or something like that, in that case, I wouldn't want you to include that in your resume. Yes, Anuj, definitely. If you have time to explore, if you are in college, definitely explore that more. It has a lot of potential that I can see as of now. And usually people do not are not aware of these things. So now that you are aware, I would want you to explore more and go deeper into this. Yes, there is a lot of scope for front-end developer, Arif. Start contributing to open source softwares that are written in TypeScript or JavaScript or React.js. You will get a deeper understanding of your language, and you will get a first-hand experience of contributing to, bigger projects that will help you. You can write them in your resume as well. See, Hacktoberfest contribution and 4 PR that you are raising, that is only for October. But open source contribution in general is entire year. I mean, whenever you want to do, you can do it. Today, tomorrow, next month, next to the next month. Okay. So that is no foundation there. It's just that Hacktoberfest is only for October. So I think we are good with the questions. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. I have posted my LinkedIn link again. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can connect with me. Akash, I think that is pretty much it from my end. Would you want to take over now?
Yes, thank you, Ankur. So, guys, I hope you have liked the session. Give a thumbs up. How many of you have liked the session? Just to know in the chat box. Yes, anybody? Not seeing any replies over here. Yes. So yeah, the recording will be available on your LMS. I will see Siddharth and you are from like a CAP batch, I guess. So we'll see why it is not available for you. All 3 sessions recordings are already available. So yeah, thanks guys. Thanks again for joining us and taking your time out. Yep.
Yep. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Akash.